talk through video, and Green may choose to do that as well.
Great, they're both on the line. All right. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Tim Daly. I think if you might know me, I've been around South Colorado for 7 years now, and I'm going to slow my speech down so that I am a effective storyteller. And I was recruited a long time ago by LBA, and I was excited to be on the board for my 6-year term and my 1-year past president term, if you will. And in our bylaws, it says the past president is responsible for spearheading the board candidate slate. And so I've been doing that for, I feel, about 3 years now, often with David's help, but we haven't had a past president always. So I think we put together a really cool slate of 8 this year for 5 openings. 2 have been on the board recently, and 6 are fairly new to serve on the board of South Colorado, which is really exciting for us. All of them have gone through the vetting process of it's a big commitment. Here's some hours that's going to take. Here's what we're trying to do. Here's that many hats you have to wear. And we talk about all that with these candidates, and they all still say yes, which is really exciting. And so we're going to let them come up and talk a little bit about who they are, why they want to be on the board of directors, if it's glutton for punishment or they want to change the world. Both of those work. And then when we're done with all 8 candidates and a little bit get to know them, we're going to do some Q&A sessions with Randy, and he's going to ask them, really, let's learn more about you and what you want to learn here. I'm not going to read any of their bios. They're all online. You're going to see all of them. I'm not going to bore you with that. But our first candidate in alphabetical order is Samantha Bailey. And she comes to us right here locally from Colorado Springs. And she's got a video that we're going to play for you now. I want you to get to know her a little bit.
Hello, my name is Samantha Bailey, and I'm interested in being a board member for Recycle Colorado. Currently, I'm the Sustainability Coordinator for the City of Colorado Springs, the sole position focusing on this work for the city. I've been in this position for almost 2 years, and it's certainly kept me busy. My many projects include a citywide sustainability action plan, replicating Denver's Love My Air program with the Colorado Springs Community Air Monitoring Network, and establishing a community garden program. I was also just awarded funds from the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment Front Range Waste Diversion Program, where we'll hire a consultant as well as students from each of the 3 universities in the Pikes Peak region to conduct a waste characterization study, as well as an action plan to improve our overall waste diversion rate. It's a very exciting time for Colorado Springs, as we currently hold no data or understanding of our waste and recycling system. Before the city, I applied my bachelor's degree in environmental science by working in environmental regulation, mainly focusing on groundwater contamination and permitting. My sustainability position is the first programmatic position in my professional career, and I was interested in this work because I wanted to make more of a community impact, especially during the time around the pandemic. I feel so fortunate that I'm in this position. It's something that my younger self would certainly be proud of. My passion for environmental science stems from myself being a farm girl in rural Wisconsin, where it was a challenge for my parents to get me away from our 100-acre wooded property. Although my mother and father's values were on opposite sides of the political spectrum, they were both environmentalists. We grew native plants and trees. We composted from our 2-acre garden and conserved as much land as possible to protect our ecosystem. I certainly credit my parents for being able to understand that our natural world is a bipartisan concern. Although I don't have a lot of experience working with waste and recycling, I know I have a basic understanding, and I'm really excited to not only learn from you all at Recycle Colorado, but as we continue to conduct our city's waste characterization plan and future projects that will stem from it. I truly feel that it's time for Southern Colorado to come on board with the rest of the state, and I hope my representation in Recycle Colorado can bridge this divide. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to working with you.
Great. One of our goals when we look at a slate for the coming year is diversity on the board, right? From a municipality, private business, nonprofit, where we try to get a good mix of people that you guys have candidates for that give us many voices to ensure that we're on the right path, and that we we help govern through all of our members, right, as part of that. Which brings me to Wendy Foth with GFL Environmental Denver. Wendy's been in this industry for a long time, 26 years. She's been through a few recent acquisitions as Alpine became Waste Industry, which became GFL. And I think she brings a very unique perspective to Recycle Colorado from the hauler and the MRF standpoint, right? That's pretty exciting for us to have an opportunity for her. So I give you Wendy Foth.
Good afternoon. I'm Wendy Foth. I'm the general manager at GFL Environmental. I run our Denver recycling facility. As Tim said, I've worked in the industry 26 years. Been through a couple acquisitions in the last couple of years, but I'm excited to be here. I want to become more active in Recycle Colorado. I want to bring to the organization a MRF and hauling company perspective and bring help. I think for the state of Colorado, we've taken on some big goals this year. And I want to help with that. I want to help work through those changes.
Great. Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you.
So next we have Emily Freeman from the city of Boulder. I had a laugh. Emily and I were talking just for a few minutes the other day. And I said, I'm rolling off for good this time, or for good or for real this time, I guess, after 7 years. She goes, Tim, I only know that Colorado with you, in it. And I went, gosh, have I been around that long? So it was good. I'm excited. Again, the municipality, which is a good view for us. And we would call this a large municipality with her background. So come on up, Emily.
So good afternoon, everyone. As Tim said, I'm Emily Freeman. I'm a policy advisor with the city of Boulder, and I'm really excited and honored to be here today, being nominated to run for your consideration for the Recycle Colorado Board. I'm going to tell you a little story. For those of you on the screen, it was a training that we just completed. So there was a long, as I grew up, we would drive up the I-17 up to northern Colorado, and I'd look out my window, and there's this like a decently sized hill, and I noticed like some construction happening around there, and every time that hill got smaller and smaller. And I remember thinking as I drove past, probably a number of years later, and I only saw maybe 1/10 of the original hill remaining, that was the last time I'm going to see that hill. It is no longer a resource that is present. And then it came to be, we went back up north, and that was gone for good. It made me really understand and think like the impacts that our actions have on the environment, and that resources can be finite unless we make efforts to really find that value, preserve that value, and be able to show that and demonstrate that to others. That was one of those like key memories that I have from when I grew up that said, the environment's important. This is going to stick with me. And if we don't help preserve that for everybody, those materials are going to be gone for future generations. I've been an active member of Recycle Colorado since 2011 when I moved here. And I really feel like this has been a home for me. This is a place where I have been able, through my various positions, whether I was with the private sector or in various roles in the public sector as well, to find a community of like-minded people who are working to strengthen partnerships, create advocacy around policy, and work across our different sectors for our common statewide diversion goals. I feel very lucky to have just been a part of this as well. I not only in my jobs doing waste audits and materials flow mapping, or whether I'm administering an environmental management system, and now with my work with the city of Boulder, where we're really transitioning to the idea of a reuse economy through the circular economy lens. That is, I think, that kind of full circle transition, and Recycle Colorado has been there for me throughout that time. I've also been able to serve on the PPAB Assistance Committee since 2016. I know several of you here through that work. Being able to provide resources, understanding what the infrastructure needs are throughout all of Colorado, and being able to provide economic development support, I think provides me like a really good understanding of what is needed here in Colorado. So I'm passionate about recycling. I'm passionate about materials diversion. And I know that you guys are all as well, whether it's in your personal lives or in your work. I am honored for the opportunity to serve and excited for the work that we have moving forward with EPR legislation. So really appreciate your consideration and thank you for this opportunity to be considered for your board.
All right, so.
Sorry.
Oh.
Sickness.
You ready?
Right.
All right. Yeah, yes, that's right. Basketball, it's a beach ball, it's a basketball. I'm really passionate about beach balls. So next we have Jennifer Freeman. Jennifer is running for her second consecutive term as a board member of Recycle Colorado. She has served as a vice president on our XCOM, and she has been an active participant in policy for 3 years and has been on the leadership part of Recycle Colorado this year, on their policy committee this year. So Jennifer wants to talk because that's what she does for a living. So let's give her the chance.
You know me too well, Tim. You know me too well. Well, thank you all for the opportunity, and I'm really disappointed that I couldn't be there with you in Colorado Springs to really showcase the investments that we're making in sustainability, putting our money where our mouth is as a business and investing in our future and our growth. I hope you all are enjoying our facility. I know that Eric and Jenny are taking good care of you guys there, and certainly don't hesitate to ask them if you need anything while you're there. As Tim mentioned, I've served on the board with honor for the last 3 years, and it's probably been some of the most rewarding work I've done in my career. Not only because of the work that I've gotten to do, but of the friendships and partnerships that I've made in the process. Our accomplishments, particularly over the last year, are things that are talked about nationally, and it has been this is for somebody who does what I do for a living. This is a highlight. It's tough to beat. It's really tough to beat what we've been able to accomplish together from a policy perspective, certainly over the past year. And I see nothing but growth. I see nothing but opportunity. I see nothing but potential in the future for Recycle Colorado, particularly under Liz's leadership. She is just the spark that our organization has needed. And I'm so grateful to get the chance to work with her and my fellow board members. I think one of the things that makes our organization so special, so unique, and so successful are the diverse interests that are represented in our organization, and who are all aligned in common purpose. Sometimes we don't always agree on how to get there, but every voice is heard and every point of view adds to solutions that make a difference and our national model. And it's just been the proudest work of my career. I want to continue to do that. I want to continue to serve Recycle Colorado, its members, its mission. And I hope I have the opportunity to do that again for one more term. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thanks, Jim. Report generally represents a multitude, big business, a producer, right? And really someone that understands the work the EPR can bring right to the state, which is a big deal. Next, we have Melick Gordon, and he's from CDPHE, which is one of my favorite acronyms. As a board, we've had CDPHE really be an active member, although they abstain from a lot of policy conversation or voting, I should say. They bring that perspective right from the state, and it's been important for us. We've had Americ Highborder, we've had Emily Wilson, and now we'll see if we can get Melick on the board through elections.
Thanks. Hey everyone, Melick Gorton, pronouns he, him. I'm the paint stewardship and recycling specialist for CDPHE. I probably one of the younger people in this room, and that's not all because you don't look a day over 25, but being a young person, regardless of that, I actually do have 8 years of experience in solid waste and recycling. I got my start with Recycle Colorado here 3 years ago when I was voluntold to take notes for the policy committee. And that's really where I fell in love with this organization and the work they do. During that time, over the last 2 years, that became official when I took on the role as recorder for the leadership team within the policy committee. And have been the fly on the wall ever since, knowing a lot of your names and roles, and really keeping our policy committee on track, and especially in such an exciting time with so much legislation that has passed in the past few years here. Because you may not know me as well, because I've been the note taker and usually the quieter person in the room, I figured it might be important to talk a little bit about my background and what I've done. Something unique about the work I've gotten to accomplish is that I have worked at the federal, the local, and now state level at CDPHE as of the last 6 months here. On the federal level, I was working more on the climate change side of things in the National Ice Core facility, interning for their National Ice Core facility, and getting to really connect with climate data on the floor in a really intimate way, freezing my butt off in negative 40 degree conditions, which is the same temperature as the South Pole in the winter. And then I got to have the opportunity to move to the city and county of Denver, where I got to work with a great team over there. Some of the work that I did included overseeing the commercial hauler license program, bringing that out of the dark ages and bringing it up to some technological advances. Also got to work on a ton of education outreach during that time, helped launch the Skip the Stuff campaign. And I also worked on the operations side of things as well, helping municipal buildings receive their collections and things of that nature. I think all of this experience, it would be really relevant to sitting on the board of directors and being able to bring the governmental side and perspective to this work. And I would be really honored to take on this role with the board. So, thank you.
So far, our candidates have all been front range, and currently on the board, we've got a really good representation of rural Colorado. But in light of always wanting rural to be represented, our next candidate is Jonathan Greenspan, or Greenie, from Telluride. And he works for the group called We Can, or runs and volunteers for the group We Can. And he can tell us a little more about himself.
Hey, everybody. I'm sorry I couldn't be there, and I miss everybody, and I'd love to be around there, but sorry I can't. But nevertheless, here we go. So my background, Jonathan Greenspan, aka Greenie, or vice versa on that. I am from Telluride region, and I've been working in that area for the last 35 years. For that matter, I've been really involved in the Western Slope entirely. I lived in Durango and whatnot. I ran an organization called the Smarts Park, San Miguel Area Resource Recovery Transfer Station. We handled everything that was zero waste, from composting to traditional recycling, to routes from Rico to Telluride to Silverton to Ouray to Montrose and beyond. So I know that whole aspect. I've been an elected official for 14 years, mayor pro tem for 8 of those years. I've been very involved in the government work. I've been a government employee, and I've been a volunteer and a private business person. So I know all aspects of the whole idea of the bookends of how things work in this particular field. I've worked, gosh, I've been volunteering for stuff in the Recycle Colorado group for a while. I'm on the policy committee. I'm on Western Slope Council. I'm actually the vice chair on that one. And I also was one of the founding people of the Rural Recycling Group, which is now pushing forward with several ideas on how we can proceed. I'm also working with a lot of the mountain towns. We believe that the mountain towns actually, I'm sorry about the darkness myself, but backlighting is not good. But mountain towns kind of will lead the way as far as plastics reduction, and they will also lead the way and skip the stuff. So I've been working with a lot of resort environments to actually get that going in some sort of legislative aspect. Ironically enough, October 26th, Telluride is actually doing the first reading of their plastics reduction bill, and skip the stuff on that day. So we're moving forward. I'm actually in the process of getting my compost operator's license, as well as my zero waste certificates. Back when I was going to school, there was no such thing as environmental work, so we just did it by hard knocks. Like Tim just said, there's some people already on the board that are rural recycling, or from the rural aspect, but there's 8 great candidates on this ticket this year. 8 great candidates. They're all good people. I know most of them and whatnot, but there's one from the Western Slope, and there are 2 that are rural. And it would be nice to have a little bit more of a level playing field on equal representation and how things work, because it's a different ball game out here. It's a totally different ball game. So it would be an honor and a privilege to be serving the members of the Recycle Colorado. I'd be working on increased membership and funds and more legislative aspects and funding. But it would be a privilege and an honor to work for all of you, as well as for the people of Colorado and the everybody, all the diversity that the Recycle Colorado brings. Thank you so much, everybody.
All right, next up, we have Julie Mock with Elements Mountain Compost in Salida. Julie comes highly recommended from David Fritland, who made the nomination for her. And I was talking to Monique the other day. She said, "Oh my God," as Monique only says, "she'd be so awesome on our board. Yeah, please get her up here." So with that introduction, Julie, come on up, tell us about you.
I don't say too much other than Monique's endorsement, which I very much appreciate. I'm Julie Mock. I own Elements Compost out in Salida. Moved to Salida in 2009. And I'll tell you just a very quick story. We had a great recycling program when I moved there. I was like, oh, you can recycle 1 through 7. I was super stoked. There were a lot of conversations going on around transition towns and sustainability. I was working at the time in some energy efficiency related work through an AmeriCorps program, and would go and hang out with some friends' parents almost every week to watch football. And I would take my beer cans over there, or 6-pack, drink my beer, and then take them home with me to recycle. Friends' parents are from Texas. After a couple weeks of this, they go, "Julie, what are you doing with those cans and those bottles? Are you making an art project out of them?" Like, I was like, "No, I'm recycling them. We have this great facility. You can drop stuff off for free. All you have to do is sort your stuff. It's super easy." So I taught them how to recycle. They had never in their entire lives recycled, and just didn't know it was an opportunity. A couple weeks later, they come in and they say, "Julie, we only take our trash out once a week. We used to fill our trash every single day with cardboard and beer bottles and everything else. Now we only take it out once a week." And it really struck me that there's an education gap, right, in the resources that we do have available for folks to recycle and compost, and how many folks are actually taking advantage of it. So fast forward a couple of years, I've worked in the kind of environmental realm, mostly on public land policy and conservation. I serve as the Chief Conservation Officer for the Colorado Mountain Club currently. So I've been doing some policy and advocacy work, as well as hands on the ground trail stewardship and other programs. But in between doing all of that, I saw this gap that we didn't have any sort of commercial composting program happening in Chaffee County. So I started Elements Compost in 2014 with a business partner at the time who actually knew things about soil and growing food out of compost, and I was going to do the books, and it was great. A couple of years later, that business partnership fell apart, and I had a composting business on my hands, which has grown almost 100% a year. When you start really small, it's really easy to grow 100%. Go from 1 client to 2 and 2 to 4. But it's been really cool to see the community come together around this. We've got a commercial program, a residential program, but up until about a year ago, I was kind of just making it up as I went along. And I found the Colorado Composting Council, and Monique has been an incredible mentor for me. She, I think, is a couple years ahead of me as far as her facility and her business growth. And so it's been huge for me to be a part of this community, and, you know, by proxy, a part of Recycle Colorado. So I'm excited to have this opportunity to serve on the board. I want to learn more about the recycling aspects of what we're dealing with, especially for rural areas. We lost that great recycling program that we had in Salida. So now all of our recycling is coming in trash trucks to the springs to be sorted and disposed of, hopefully somewhere good, but we don't know. So I'm here to learn and bring as much information as I can back to our community so that we can do composting, do recycling, and engage in other sustainability projects successfully. Thanks.
Usually I need a script to talk about these folks, but the next person I've known for about 6 years now, Brandy Moe, currently with Green Sheen, and she is coming back to the board to run again. She had a 3-year stint and ran and was very active in policy and a lot of other aspects of the organization. She took a year off and said, "Oh my gosh, I missed this group." She really said I missed Tim, but she missed the group as well, and she kept working with Randy, so it couldn't have been Randy that brought her back. So I gotta believe it was me. But she brings the business aspects again to the board, and she's ready to talk about herself. Her favorite subject. Come on.
You, me, outside. Hi guys, I'm Brandy Moe, and you know, this morning I was trying to remember I was trying to remember what brought me to Recycle Colorado in the very beginning. And honestly, I tried to think of it and I couldn't remember. Was it a person? You know, how did I hear about it? But it just completely evaded me. But I do remember the most pivotal moment, I think, in my time at Recycle Colorado. And I've shared this story with some of you before, but it was definitely a lobby day. And I was an individual member of Recycle Colorado for a couple of years, I'm pretty sure. And I heard about lobby day. And I thought, well, this is going to be fun and interesting, you know, and didn't really know what I was getting into. And by mid-morning, I was like, who are these people that think I should go to the Capitol and talk with legislators about stuff that I'm not super educated on, you know? And I swear I almost ran from the Capitol at one point. I was like, this is ridiculous. But I ended up staying through the day and I left feeling so empowered. And that was definitely my first, as I said, kind of pivotal moment in Recycle Colorado. But I have not always worked in the waste industry. However, I actually was a social worker in the first part of my life, and I worked for an alternative energy company for a number of years, actually, in Commerce City in their chemistry lab, which is crazy. But I started to just really get into the waste side of things. So eventually I was handling all of the hazardous waste for the laboratories and such. And then they created a position for me as an environmental health and safety coordinator. I was like, hey, I can help people and help affect change without being, you know, a social worker, what I had been in the past. So unfortunately, that company closed its doors. And so I was put in front of, you know, a big decision that I could make. And I had thought about going back to grad school for forever. So much later in life, I did go back and get my master's in environmental policy and management, like probably a fourth of Recycle Colorado membership at this point. So many people have that degree. But it was really that then that helped me get to where I am. But I was still a individual member of Recycle Colorado working for the oil and gas industry. Ooh, doing like compliance work for them and stuff, but just couldn't find my place. And it truly was Recycle Colorado and the people within it that helped me get my first, you know, legit job with Momentum Recycling. And I've worked for Paint Care. And as Tim mentioned, I am very recently employed with Green Sheen, the big paint recycler in Denver. So really good stuff happening for me. And as Tim mentioned, I did serve on the board of directors for a 3-year term, took a break last year. I was just trying to get a lot of stuff figured out in my life, you know, making sure everything made sense. And I dropped a lot of stuff. I stepped down as the commissioner of my fantasy football league, for God's sake. So things were awry. But I have missed being on the board so much, and I've missed being part of that team so much. And luckily, I've been able to sort of shift some stuff around, and my life is making a lot more sense. And I do think that I have the time and the energy to give to that team in the way that I would only want to be giving. So if you would, I would absolutely love for your guys' vote to give me the opportunity to be back on the board of directors for Recycle Colorado. Thanks.
It was a storytelling day, and I was at that lobby day with Brandy, and I was dragged into meetings, literally not knowing what I was talking about. And one meeting in particular with my good friend Randy, and we were drilled on the oil and gas industry, actually, as Brandy's talking about. And I also remember when Brandy did first come to South Colorado, it was with Megan Lane. And Megan brought her around, and she said, "This girl's awesome. We need to find her a job. She needs to be in the recycling industry. How do we help her?" And I remember it took a while, right, for all of us to get to know you a little bit, but she was absolutely right about a lot of those things. So that's Brandy for you.